There's a lot of talk about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry these days. You either love them or you hate them. But let's discuss Harry. Because before Meghan, there were all of these women and everybody wanted to know, when's he getting married? And he had all of these girlfriends. Why is it that Meghan Markle was like the only one to really say yes? Word on the street in England was that a lot of these women that he dated did not want to get married to him. Let's talk about 5 women that Prince Harry dated who said no, or they were just like, I'm out of here. Prince Harry dated many women before proposing to Meghan Markle, and he was getting up there in age. He was 31, 32 years old while they were dating, kind of like his father, Prince Charles, and there's a lot of pressure to create an heir. Even though he wasn't first in line, there was still a lot of pressure. Even though we may think that he's charming and handsome, there were a lot of people who thought opposite. And for American women, for example, we think the idea of marrying a prince is so romantic and so amazing. But when you're an aristocrat in England, you have options. And so women had options, and the idea of having to marry a man where there's all of this scrutiny around him was not necessarily as attractive as just marrying a rich aristocrat, live your life, do what you wanted to do, and not have to deal with the royal family. I will get to all of the Reddit comments about the subject, and you will not believe what people are saying about Harry and the royal family. I know that Meghan Markle loves her prince, but Prince Harry was known for being boorish, less than level-headed, and quite frankly, word on the street was that he wasn't very smart. Sorry to say it, but that's what I'm hearing. For example, his behavior when he went to Vegas and he just went naked. Rumor has it that he hired sex workers and didn't treat them very well. He dressed like a Nazi in a club, and so that didn't really make him marriage material. He was kind of wild and unpredictable. A lot of the most eligible women in England were turned off to that. They just didn't think he was very sharp and that he was just sort of a fun, wild guy that you would not want to settle down with. But also these women were like, I'm not going to deal with the protocol and all of the baggage that comes with being in the royal family. You can just marry a rich aristocrat or a rich businessman. So here are 5 women who could have ended up being his wife or the Duchess of Sussex, besides Meghan Markle. The most well-known girlfriend of Prince Harry was Chelsea Davy. They dated for 7 years, from 2004 to 2010. And yes, they were very young at the time. She was a South African socialite. Her family was very involved in Zimbabwe and owned a lot of property there. And her father was literally a billionaire. She ended up going to school to become a lawyer and an entrepreneur. Word on the street was that they hooked up at Will and Kate's wedding for one last time. And then she was like, I'm done. The rumor was, oh, Chelsea didn't like all of the drama around Will and Kate's wedding and she didn't want that for her own life. But they keep repeating that story. And the truth is that she may have been ready to sort of move on and get a little bit more serious. She's now married to a guy named Sam Cutmore Scott, who is a hotelier, and he has all of these amazing wedding venues. Then there was Cressida Bonus, who is definitely a society girl. She's related to the Curzon family, which goes way back. She dated him for 2 years, and she was introduced by Princess Eugenie. She's an actress, an aristocrat, and when she was dating Harry, she actually was on a break from her longtime boyfriend, who she ended up marrying, and his name is Harry Wentworth Stanley. Then there was also this woman named Florence Brudenell, and she was this lingerie model and actress, later married Henry Edward Hugh St. George. Then there was a woman named Carolyn Flack, who was a TV hostess, and she was just like, look, I'm not gonna marry him. I don't like that it's the Caroline and Harry show all the time. I am a celebrity in my own right, and I don't want to have all of that baggage. He also dated Ellie Goulding. So all of these women were like, nah, I don't think so. So this is what else people are saying. They're saying that Harry was never somebody who was really sort of like the alpha male in the relationship. Like he just was, even though he was sort of a hothead and they say he was not that smart, he also didn't assert himself enough as to what he wanted and what he needed in the relationship. He would just sort of go along with sort of these alpha females. When Meghan came along, it was a blind date. And of course she's gorgeous and they hit it off right away, and yet people are still asking, was that the only person that would say yes to Harry? Because the people who knew him on the inside, I think there's plenty of women who would have married Harry. Harry's dad, Charles, was a little bit the same. He slept around, he met all kinds of women, and then eventually he's like, well, I guess I better get married because I'm getting all this pressure and I'm the heir to the throne. And so then he married Princess Diana because she looked really great on paper, and yet obviously he was still smitten with Camilla. So this is what people are saying about Harry on Reddit. His violent, drunken ways, Nazi Halloween costume, running around naked in Vegas, and he was in the minority for that scene. Flunked out of military that he supposedly loves so much. The prince is a loser and he's not even good looking. Only a bottom feeder would have him. He was also tight with money with Cressida. He would make her pay for her plane tickets, alleged violence towards sex workers, drunk and alcohol abuse. I really don't think he knew how to treat women. Okay, well, that's her opinion, whatever. And then another one says, I tend to think word got around about his bad attitude and general dumbness. None of the other royals had a hard time finding a spouse, and Harry could have quit being a working royal decades earlier. I think what put women off him was entirely his entitled attitude, short temper, jealousy of his brother, hatred of his stepmother, coupled with things like not being bright, independent enough to forge his own path through life. Chelsea and Cressida are savvy. They were on good terms with Harry as of the wedding. I bet Chelsea and Cressida wanted out for many reasons, but couldn't exactly tell Harry it's that he's unintelligent, boorish, painfully unattractive. Now, I think he's attractive and has a bad temper. I bet both told Harry to spare his feelings, that they didn't like the spotlight, and that was why they were done. Harry's absolutely dim, entitled, and self-centered enough to not look beyond that explanation and examine himself. So they're saying he's kind of dense, like he wouldn't even know to look at himself to improve upon himself. I think it was him, not necessarily the royal family, that scared off his girlfriends. More and more tidbits about his paranoia and dumbness have been shared in recent years. He was far from a catch. Nobody wanted to marry Harry because he's dim-witted a-hole. There are plenty of women who could have pulled off the requirements of being a royal wife, but none of them wanted it badly enough to put up with him. Okay, so then we have some people that are very positive. Harry is a good guy born into an effed up family. I have no doubt all of the press hate and racism stems from them. They could easily put a word in their friends at the Daily Mail to stop attacking Meghan and Harry, but they don't, because abusers punish those who stand up to them. Charles is at heart an unpleasant and entitled man who deeply believes he is part of an immutable supernatural dynasty. Ooh. I support Meghan and Harry in that I think the monarchy should give them everything they ask for. It would tick off a lot of the public and bring the institution of the royal family down faster. That said, I doubt Harry is a decent person after being privileged and enabled for most of his life. So, was Meghan the only person that he could get to marry? Was he pressured? Did he feel like he was in a rush? Were all of these women saying no? What is all the drama about? Is it a little bit of both? That the family is a little cuckoo and that he is, or is it that Harry and Meghan are just out there? I'm curious to hear what you have to say.